that part. And so we will go to the financial report from our secretary, not our secretary, sorry, our treasurer, Darby Hicks.
Well, I hope you can hear me because it's thundering and storming here in the background.
It is here too.
Gosh.
Okay. So I think Rhonda sent out the statement of financial position, the budget, and the statement of activity that everybody may have had the chance to look over. And there's really not a whole lot for me to talk about. The report contains figures that are current through June 30th of 2023, with 50% of the year completed, which is mind-blowing to me because this year is going so fast. On the balance sheet, the checking account balance as of June 30th was $4,522.75. However, keep in mind that we are 2/3 of the way through the third quarter, and some changes have taken place that will be reflected on the next quarter's report. The Vanguard account remains at $29,567.87. There has been no change there. And again, I would like to note that we have not adjusted this year's budget in consideration of not having the in-person meetings and stuff. We left it the same as it was, just so that we had something to go off of in the future for our future planning needs. So you'll notice that most of the budget categories were in under 50%, in part because we haven't had the expenses of the in-person meetings and that type of thing. Excuse me. The overall revenue versus expenditure shows a negative balance, but that goes back to, if you remember, that we made a deposit on Lake Lanier for the spring meeting, but then we had to cancel it. But DHS was able to use our deposit, and they have been invoiced, and they're supposed to be reimbursing us soon for that. So that should offset the negative that we're showing. And then some. That's really all I can come up with. I mean, everything looks like it's either on target or in good standing. So unless Susan or Rhonda has something that I've missed, that's all I really can make note of.
No, I agree. We were, Rhonda and I have been watching it. We've been a little bit nervous because we count on the annual meeting we have in years past, pre-pandemic, to make about $10,000. We lost money last year. We have not made that money since the pandemic. And I think that is because the rates are so much higher at the Marriott that we have not been able to increase the registration fee in order to cover the cost. Also, some of that was me learning, so don't let me place it all on inflation. But we wanted to make sure we were going to be okay without the annual conference, and we have been able to secure some sponsorships. SMI and Dover agreed to a sponsorship at the same rate as last year. We have typically used their sponsorships to sponsor the reception. We are now using their sponsorships to offer some refreshments at the GPHSA on the road events like the one we did in Douglas. It's not a big cost. It's, I think we had $22,150 worth of sponsorships, and the reception in and of itself, the refreshments did not cost, say maybe $100. So the food was also not that expensive, but we gained.
Susan made her wonderful chicken salad.
Who knew? Well, it was a hit. But the beauty of that Douglas event was the board bought a membership for every employee in Douglas County. And so we were able to offset our time and any other cost for the meet and greet from the membership dues and that we gained. So that was a big positive. We feel like if we can, arrange, and Angie and I have a call tomorrow at 9 to talk about Henry. And I think Dawn, Chris, and I are going to follow up maybe of something around the Athens area. But if we can do 3 or 4 of those and use it also as a membership drive, we will be in great shape. But we do have the sponsorship. We have the board. The board typically the board association typically contributes. We have not invoiced them yet. We typically do that immediately following the annual meeting in Savannah. And then in October, we will receive the administrative fee of the $25,000 from Managing the State of Hope. So which we have used 10,000 of that to cover the amount of time that Rhonda and I have spent managing those things, but that still is a wonderful padding for us income wise. And so our budget's in great, pardon? Okay. Anyway, the budget's in great shape. We were nervous when we couldn't have the annual meeting, but we are looking really good and should finish the year very, very strong and be looking to reinvest some of this money into to some of the investment accounts or into an interest bearing account. We're not sure we want to go the route we've been in historically, but we are going to wait and discuss that when we can meet in person. And so, yes, Darby, I agree. We're in good shape.
So I guess with that, I just need to make a motion that the financial reports be accepted and approved as presented.
I make a motion. This is Jan Prescott.
This is Vicky. I'll second.
You're mute.
Sorry, do we need an all in favor?
Yeah.
You can just thumbs up on your screen if you want, or I tell you what, if you're not in favor, just do a thumbs down. That'll be easier. All right.
I did have an accident. I'm in favor. Sorry.
I didn't even see it. No worries.
Okay, well, the next thing is our committee reports. First is our long range with Jennifer, and I'm part of that, so I can testify that we haven't met because we didn't know what we were doing, but let's see what Jennifer has to say.
I second that, Susan. So long range planning, usually we have this meeting face to face, and it's usually right before our board meeting, and we always have a good turnout at the annual conference, and then at the other trainings throughout the year we meet. So no, we have not had any meetings about long range, but I'm hoping that we can use today, our board meeting, as sort of a discussion for long range, and kind of count it as a long range committee if I can have people interact and give us some suggestions. But one thing I wanted to ask Susan Boatwright, have you heard any more information regarding the travel ban?
Not. I was talking to someone and I can't remember who it was, but it wasn't like Mary, who said there was like, if you could say it was softening a little, that some things were being approved but not anything significant. I will say this, that Savannah is such a draw, and we love Savannah, but we're a long way from a soft kind of allowing some things to approving the funds that it takes for Savannah. So I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I don't even know like whether we should try to, hold the dates for next year. Well, here's what I don't know. I don't know if this is sort of the pleasure of the leadership that the state funds that are used to support an annual conference, that they feel that is a good use of those funds, or if those funds should be used in another way. Or if this is like there's a specific reason that the travel funds were sort of reined in, and they were reined in because there's sort of a desire to curb some of the spending that was going on, and I just don't know. So I just use a lot of words to tell you I have no idea.
Okay, so I asked that question first just because that kind of can help us in preparing for what is long range for GPHSA. I did want to say I was thrilled that Douglas County was the first county in Region 3, my region, to do the on the road show with GPHSA. Unfortunately, I was on leave during that time, so I could not attend, but I know Susan Cooper and Tanisha, others attended, and I hear it was great. I saw the photos, but the best thing about that is all of Douglas County staff are now members, and I think that is a big boost for us. We also have another county, Bartow County in Region 3, that wants to do the same thing. So I think they were looking to see, kind of how it went with Douglas. So those are things that we need to plan for the future for us. That is long range planning, having regional or county type meetings and trainings, because we don't know what the future is going to hold as far as, budget. And Susan, you asking about if our state leadership feels this is a good use of funds, I'll be happy to sit in on any kind of conversation we need to have regarding that. Just whatever,
Yes,
whatever you feel is necessary, we can do that. I think that we need to, if we want to keep the momentum going and motivation, because like when we're doing just virtual meetings, people aren't really that motivated to do things. We've got to have some strong, what is the word I'm looking for? Strong ideas and things we are working on with GPHSA that's going to benefit our staff. Like we've talked before about, years of service raises that our staff have been asking for years. And to me, that makes sense because, you've committed, you have a career with the agency, we should get years of service. So I feel like that's something we as an association should work on. I've also said it before, I think we need to do some sort of community kind of project, like I had suggested the homeless, if we were going to Savannah. I think we've got to focus on our membership growing. And then I thought about, and I think this was in the membership committee meeting, I was telling Tanisha that, you know, can we propose some sort of fall meeting that's like a planning for the future of GPHSA, and maybe just you know, go to Macon or somewhere that we have maybe officers and board members and committee chairs or something that we get together. Because, you know, we did that in Macon a year or so ago, and we had, you know, a good little planning session. So those are my ideas, but I want to hear from y'all on what you feel like. What is the future of GPHSA? How can we plan for long range? So I'm gonna open up the floor.
Well, one thing I like is just for now, because I'm with you, we need to be in person, but just somehow the long range committee maybe helping, you know, Susan and Rhonda plan these on the road shows as well. I think that would be one good use of our time, maybe, is, you know, helping them, which that one was great that we did. I mean, it was just wonderful. And
I agree.
Angie had asked a question too. I was gonna go and bring it up. She wants to know how the board paid for the members, because she wants her board to do the same thing. And how were they?
So the way we invoiced them was for a professional development day that included the training, lunch, the the morning presentation, lunch, the afternoon presentation, and then the meet and greet after hours. And and it included, they could either, you know, we could either charge per person for the after hours, but if 60% of the staff were already members, then the after hours was free. And so that, you know, it depends on how we need to invoice, but basically we invoiced for a professional development day. And let me tell you, the cost of that was, was it seven, Rhonda, was it less than $7,000, the whole thing?
And Susan, I think that price might sound large to a lot of the counties that maybe don't have a whole lot in their budget. So I think that's something.
Well, 2,500 of that was the afternoon speak.
Yeah. I mean, I think the trainer part was probably more expense than, you know, some counties may want, but I think it went over well. But I know smaller counties maybe can't handle that size.
Mm-hmm.
That also included the county memberships. That included the staff.
Right, the whole thing. So basically we could have charged, you know, $2,500 to do the after hours, or they could have shored up 60% memberships, and the current members, and I think there were 10 maybe who were current. Is that right, Rhonda?
It was 10, but on this report, I think I have 8.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure which one was correct.
It's 8. There was
8.
We did a drawing for an Amazon gift card for the 8 that were already members and were automatically moved up to the higher membership rate. And we went over the benefits during the lunch. So we presented to the staff you know, what their membership meant for them, what were their dollars being used for. And we talked about that higher rate. The members that are paying a $4 that were already paying the $4, they got moved to the higher rate. And we plan to continue to do the drawing for the people who want. I think we were going to do one $25 gift card per quarter per 25 members. And so it's not like the more high level members, the more watered down your chance of winning is. It is, it would stay consistent with the number of people who are at the higher rate. And then we would, we talked to them about that they could access if they ever incurred any damage to their vehicle. The issue with people being at the higher rate that aren't in Douglas County is we're still trying to work through how we can collect that $8 a month, because I don't think that the payroll deduction form is set up to do that. One way would be to, do part of it in PayPal and then continue your $4 a month. But, I don't know how many people would actually end up doing that. But to answer your question, they were moved up to the higher membership tier. And then we will want to acknowledge them as a, sort of gold level membership somewhere on our website. We also will need to acknowledge our sponsors. I'm waiting on them to send us their logos. So that's about the Douglas thing. I'm just going to circle back for a minute to some of
Susan,
Jennifer
I'm gonna interrupt you.
Yes.
One thing I would love for us to acknowledge is Dee Dee Artis, the Douglas County Director, because when I brought this idea to the county, she was the first to jump right on it and say, yes, let's do this. So I think we need to acknowledge her. She was motivated and she's very supportive. And I think her team realizes that, and hopefully we're going to have more activity out of Douglas.
I want to get the word out about that, about what happened in Douglas it was this month. How can we get the word out about that? Because to me, for it to have been, I didn't expect it. It was just kind of like, it was wow, it felt like a mini, like a Savannah, but just the closeness and the networking. It just felt like what GPHSA is all about. And I think that it's something that's needed within the different counties if we can do that. But of course, they need to know about it. So how do we get the word out to other counties to say you can do this too?
Well, one, I'm going to ask Jennifer and Dawn, and if I have any other regional directors on here, please forgive me. But to mention it as something that counties can do, even if they're not super active, it doesn't mean we can't help them put together a professional development networking day. We would just have to structure the cost of it so that, GPHSA is not losing money. We're not trying to make any money. We're just don't want to lose any money. The one thing that Jennifer had said that reminded me, Tanisha, when you were talking, is that in the outreach to the legislators, only one ended up coming, but I talked to her for a long time, and so did Dee Dee. She's very supportive of
awesome.
the time. Yeah. Yes, for the tiered pay per time. She knows it's going to take some time, but in my outreach to the legislators, I thanked them for their support of the salary increases and told them, I would like to talk with them more about some other retention ideas that we have if they, when they had time. So I'm going to follow up with a handwritten note to the one that attended. And so it's also a very good way just to get in the same space. County commissioners were there. Their board members were there. They had some people from court there. No agenda, truly just an opportunity to talk and get to know each other, so that when you come together again, or you're in the same room again, you have a familiarity. And Dee Dee did a great job on her end. Two other things from Jennifer's perspective. Yes, we have great pictures from that event. And I'm going to work with our person who's managing social media to get those pictures uploaded, and to thank Dee Dee and her staff for going first, and to also encourage anyone else who sees that on our social media to reach out and, let's talk about scheduling something in their area. Connected to that, I wonder, if y'all were with me, you might throw something at me, but I wonder if a good strategy might be just what you said, Jennifer, is to try first to have a get together and a board meeting, and it could even be a meeting, like where a professional development day for people who can attend is that and yes, Angie, you are right. It has been a fair amount of our income pre-pandemic. It could be the person who's organizing it that is not doing such a great job of it being an income maker. I think we would have to scale it back in order for it to make money for us. Also, the cost have significantly increased on the Marriott.
I think we came up with some great ideas, Susan, or you did, or whatever. We come up with some good ideas of different ways to cut that cost too.
Yes, we did. We did, to where we
So-
could get it into the budget that we created.
Yeah.
So until we can get back to Savannah, I wonder if the strategy might be that we propose a meeting at somewhere like Macon or even Lanier, because it's just so much. If you can have 150 people at a 2-day conference, Lanier Islands, for less than $60,000, well, for about $65,000. And it's hundreds of thousands of dollars in Savannah. And so I think that it might be smart on our part to start small and try to have an in-person, and at least for the board, and maybe we open it up to members who, I don't even know, Darby, you would have to tell us if they have board money to attend, could people come? Or is it on everything, even board funds for travel?
Do you mean like county
County
funds?
board funds, yes. Could county boards support sending someone to an event if it was, or are you just allowed, you're not allowed to travel right now regardless of the funding stream?
I don't see Darby. I wonder if she was kicked off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't
does
see
anyone
her.
know the answer to that?
I know there have been some people who've been allowed to travel to out-of-state conferences that were not state funded, so like another entity sponsoring it. So I don't know why county funds would be different.
So, that may be something that we want to try, is to have something at a less expensive space in the late fall, or in the, I don't know if we'd want to try to do it in the winter because things are so iffy, or in the spring, and to see if we could get something together in person there that is not quite so expensive. And we could ask that the board be granted permission, and then any others who could attend through county board funds, which isn't really fair to people in counties that don't have county board funds. I get that. I don't know what else.
The directors went to Lake Lanier, and that's like Casey went, however,
Casey
that
Family Programs, yes.
yeah, they funded that. I wonder if there was any group that we could find that would fund
Who
us.
funded it? Who funded it, Susan?
What was it?
Casey Family Programs gives, those Macon meetings that used to occur every month for directors and regional directors. Since they are not, Casey has funded those for years and years and years, and I believe it was something similar to that level of funding, and that funding source from Casey Family for that purpose that funded that. I know there were no state dollars used for that, which, we lucked out on, because we would have lost a good bit of money on if they hadn't taken that over. But so that kind of does go in line with what Dawn was saying, is maybe if there's a non-state funding source, we could put something together. Let me see if I can do a little sniffing around about that and see. Maybe we should try to do a maybe an early spring, which is 6 months or so, 7 months away. That would give us some time to meet with folks and see what we could do. We could have a meeting in Macon if we could get permission of the board before then, in late fall, to do a sort of long range planning, but aimed toward something that looked like a 2-day conference in the spring, for open to people other than the board. What are your thoughts?
Like you saying, still just the committee members?
Well, it could be open to anyone who had, if the state would fund it, great. I think we should propose somewhere like Lanier that is cheaper.
Right.
But even if the state wouldn't fund it, you're looking at, $300 a person, $300 or $400 a person for a 2-day event plus their mileage, versus, $700 or $800. And so even if using board funds, it really stretches a lot further. Just a thought.
Well, I like it. It's just right now, of course, it's August. I'm thinking about November. Have to be a quick turnaround.
Yeah. Yeah, the Columbus location was okay. Rhonda has figured out a little bit more about that. So I don't think we went through the right. I think we should have gone through the Columbus Development Authority and like tourism. They are very interested in making Columbus a convention location, and we ended up kind of working with the hotel and working with that convention center, but the GSRA has met with the person in the tourism section, and she felt like they got kind of a red carpet treatment, whereas I just kind of felt like we were stuck over in that room and no one was really tending to us in the convention center.
Yeah, she had all these meetings going on, other people meetings. Yeah.
Yeah. So Columbus is definitely an option. And that hotel where we were, I think it was it Hotel Indigo? I think they have meeting space.
That was nice.
So it's also an option. I can see if we can get something pulled together for November, at least something small, and then try to go again in the spring.
So it's worth a shot.
Yeah, let me see if I can snip that out a little bit.
And maybe if you have if we propose it as it is a planning meeting, and some sort of training, and then if you have like a total number of people that might be attending, that might be perceived better as, oh, it's only 25 people or 30 people. That might get approved more than them thinking, oh, it's 200 people.
Another thought is to ask them, what is there a budgeted amount we could work with to do professional development for staff. They don't have to be GPHSA members, but preferably GPHSA members, because non-members get charged a higher fee. And then we could try to work from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, give us a figure that you would support, and then we could work from that. Okay.
And then at that meeting that we're gonna have, we're gonna be optimistic. Then we can talk about, you know, how are we approaching this with our, you know, trying to get legislators on board, like you said, to give us years of service raises, that kind of thing. So does anybody else have any other suggestions for long range planning? I don't mean to take up all the time.
I think these have been great. Excited because I was like, this committee, we started it when we were doing the annual conference, and we were going strong in the beginning, and then we kind of went because we wasn't sure what to do. So I think this is good. This is all good.
All right, if I'm finished then, if nobody else has any suggestions.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, our next person up is Miss Moreland, our Vice President, with the membership report.
Hello again. Before I go over the numbers that we have now, I just want to say again that Douglas County rocked it. I was not expecting to have a Medicaid unwinding training to be so interesting. And social services were interested, and you know, it was kind of like, it was information that everybody wanted to hear about. So it was very informative, and you know, staff don't know like these, that's what kind of, you know, the professional development's about, or you just kind of get to know information that you probably wouldn't have read it, you wouldn't have known about it, but it was very informative. So I thank Dee Dee again. And
Did that cost anything, Tanisha?
Huh?
Did that cost? That
I wouldn't think so. I mean, he's a, and we can get somebody else like that works for the agency to discuss, I don't know, something else. Even if it's like the process of CPS, you know, OFI doesn't know a whole lot about what actually happens and things like that. And those are things that, you know, we're cross training, I guess, a little bit, or connecting hands with social services and OFI, kind of getting to know what they do and what we do, but very beneficial. So I hope that we can continue doing that across the different counties or the different regions. So anyway, I think that Dee Dee said that she was going to talk to my director for Cobb, Lysandra, and I'm going to reach out to her as well, just to kind of let her know that it'll be beneficial to her. And from what I understand, she is very interested as well. All right, so with the board member, not the board members, but the membership numbers, as you guys can see, we are now at 1726, and we were at 1711 at the first quarter. We did add, I guess it was 72 members, because it was 80, but then the new people from Douglas County, it was already 8 members. So we're going to add that to that number of 1726, right, Rhonda? Because that 80 is not added to that number.
That's the 8 members is included in this number.
It is included in that number.
8, but
the 8, right? But the 72 is not included.
Not, right. We'll put that in the third quarter, so that'll increase that at least by 72 members.
Okay. How much is that? Like, I guess that'll be in our next meeting where we'll know how much money that we kind of draw out to that.
Well, but, remember the county memberships are at 60%, Susan. Is that the break we gave them? So they're not full price. They're at 60%.
Okay, well, better than nothing. So we'll take it. Okay, so that's where we are right now with the second quarter. So hopefully by the third quarter, we will have more than just the 72. We'll have a lot more members coming about. One of the things that we talked about in the membership meetings that we have bi-monthly is a way to kind of jump up membership. It's kind of hard when we're doing things, as Jennifer said, virtually. There's not a whole lot of motivation to do things virtually. It's just not, especially when we're kind of out of the COVID, where we can kind of get around and do things. People don't really know, what do we talk about during a membership meeting virtually? It's kind of like, okay, it's really a 30-minute meeting, but what can we do? Like Jennifer also said, how can we plan for if we can consistently meet like this, how can we plan for it? Because we still want the members, we still need them. One of the things we talked about was a GPHSA join day. And the way that that would work is, let's just say the date that we had was October 31st, where whomever, we get the word out and we're trying to drum up as many people as we can to join GPHSA that's not a member. And by that particular date of October 31st, we do a drawing. And so let's just say if we have 25 new members, just hopefully it'll be more than that, but let's just say 25 new members, we'll have 3 different winners and we'll have 3 different tiers. One will be a drawing for $100, one for $50, and one for $25, or something like that, however we kind of want to do that. The question that I think that Susan was going to ask the board, because I think we have to vote on it, is if we can use our funding for that. And this is just, we're just trying to figure out different ways to kind of go outside the box and think of ways that we can kind of incite people to join us. And sometimes it is a raffle that make you want to kind of like, oh, okay. So I guess I don't know if you could put that to the board later or now, or how we want to do that. But just figure out a way that we can kind of do something to interest people to join GPHSA by having a GPHSA join day. What do you guys think about that? Anybody?
I think it sounds great. I want to just clarify that the question being put to the board is whether we can use what funding?
When I asked you guys kind of to figure out if we could, because what we could have done was ask if, if we can, get sponsors for that money. But I think somebody, I'm not sure if it was you or Rhonda, that said that we might be able to, give that money if the board agrees to it. But then I think Wayne had a whole book that he wrote about it, and I really was like, I don't really know what what to do with that. But I'm looking for ideas to see what can we do within our realm to have a raffle with monetary value, and where can that money come from?
I have to go back and look at Wayne's notes because he does answer something so thoroughly and
It was
thinks
very,
of
I was like,
things that I don't think of. But I mean, I think we could do a raffle for new members from our sponsorship, because the sponsorship, those funds are not, they're not coming from state dollars. They're not coming from membership. We would just have to, it's like when we bought the refreshments for the Douglas event, we just need to make sure that we, have a note that, we purchased that with money from a sponsorship. So if we wanted to do I feel like we could, because it's not money that is, they've said use it to, the benefit of GPHSA is basically what sponsorships are from. That, I don't know how much we're talking. We're talking about $100,
well, like, I mean, I think it was 175, but we can change that amount. Like one person would get 100, then 50, and then 25. Just depends on how we can change it, but just kind of want to, the person that the top person gets the most money, the second person gets the kind of like that.
And these are new members versus all
whoever joins from the day we start our GPHSA join day till October 31st or November 30th, whatever that day ends, all those new members that start, and then we raffle those names off.
I don't see a problem with using our funding from our sponsors.
I love that concept.
I do too. I think it's a good idea to have a 2-week membership drive or something like that. Yeah, I think we could do that.
Okay. Is it something that we have to vote on, or can we just?
I mean, it wouldn't hurt to vote on it in case we're not thinking of something.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any rule we would be breaking using sponsorship dollars.
And maybe that's what it was. Maybe we didn't pose it to him with sponsorship dollars, but I was like, I didn't really understand what he was.
You know, you have to think about, we've used in the past the sponsorship dollars to fund, I mean, everybody getting a drink at a reception.
Okay, gotcha.
So, I mean, I feel like if it's as flexible as that, then, you
Then
know.
it should be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I would like to do that. We can start off maybe September and go through October 31st, or we can shorten it or however. And, Rhonda will have the totals of whoever joins, and then we can kind of do a raffle and figure out how to get the word out, during our next meeting, our next membership meeting.
We'll need to make sure, just because I'm thinking through, we'll need to make sure that when they join, that we either can verify one or two things, that they have paid through PayPal or Venmo, or we have, that their payroll deduction has been, we wouldn't want to give somebody give somebody the money that never really followed through with the payment.
Okay. So when they join online, it's just the form that they're sending, but they're not actually doing the paperwork first. I mean, at the same time, right?
Well, when they're online, they have a choice of how they want to pay, PayPal or either payroll withholding. And so sometimes, though, there's a little time in there before things get started, or either they just forget their paperwork or whatever. So we'll have to think through to make sure we capture the right people, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Or we could,
or it could be pay a year in advance or something.
Or we could say, that the gift cards will be delivered upon confirmation of payroll, and put some little disclaimer in there. And then if we don't get that, then we could draw someone else, or we could delay the drawing for about how long does it take the joining online to catch up with the payroll, Rhonda?
Well, it depends on the regional office. Some people, surprisingly, sometimes it'll be that very next month. It would take at least 30 days to.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I mean, if they join today and they submit their payroll deduction form to their regional accounting, it seems like I think it's at least another payroll cycle before we see it. See, I don't know until I see it on our report that the person's, I'll see where they've joined, but I don't see a payment.
Could we ask for confirmation at the time of drawing for either their PayPal payment or their payroll deduction form? Because we could send that over.
I wrote that down. Can we ask for confirmation? I was like, is that too nosy? But can we ask for confirmation? Is that something that we could do?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. We could.
So we just need to put a note that confirmation of
payment to be eligible
payment will be required before the gift card. So as people join, when they send in either their confirmation, we can just draw from those people.
Yep. Okay. I don't really have anything else. I know that when we're meeting, we're trying to figure out how we can, what interests people in a membership meeting when we're trying to figure out ways to get new members, and we're not meeting physically. So it's, it's kind of hard to kind of get people to stay interested. But I am always open to new ideas. So please, if you have anything, I'm willing to listen. And like I said before, this is not, I'm just facilitating. I'm not really, it's not just my meeting.
One thing Dawn put in the chat, she had to go, but she said if we could offer something where people could give leadership messages, like they were people interested in being in leadership, and this way they use their voice, and it could be on any topic, but just some kind of meeting or opportunity, like they used to do it on Friday morning, she said, but just, something where, because professional growth is part of what we're about. And it's just like those, what is it, toasters, or, what I'm talking about? That thing where
Toastmasters.
people,
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters.
Yeah.
So if
That
we
sounds
get
good.
something like that where people were interested, because, it's scary talking in front of people,
Mhm.
and they could get, just experience doing that. So that might be something that we could offer that wouldn't cost anything for us, but it would be an opportunity, and get-togethers where they could speak, to people.
But I like that.
What were those called? Do y'all know?
I don't know. Dawn was the one talking about it. She said she had to go though. We can ask her, reach out and find out more information about it.
Okay.
But those are great ideas, Tanisha. I think,
Yeah,
like I say, virtual is hard, but it's not impossible. And so, we want to do the in-person when we can, but at least we now have this opportunity, because years ago we've been through stuff like this before, and when this kind of thing came up, it was just, we were stuck. We lost members, we lost, leaders. I mean, it was just, there was nothing we could do back then. So we, at least technology can be a curse and a blessing. We know that, but at least we do have that right now. So.
Yep.
Thank you, Tanisha.
You're
Excited
welcome.
that you're at the helm.
Ashley has her hand up.
Our next is.
Oh, did you hear me?
I'm
Susan,
sorry.
Ashley has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ashley. Sorry.
That's okay. So finally, after y'all have done my part of the duty, I can get in and listen and hear you all. I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
We're here to help each other.
The first thing I would say is that one thing that I started doing when we have new hires, we have a new hire packet that we give them, and in it is the GPHSA brochure, the flyer, and we go over it, and we kind of tell them the importance behind it, because I'm a firm believer in when people know the why, they are more likely to become involved in it. So that's one thing that we do. And then we also have like a newsletter that my team goes out, and we always update anything with that we become aware of with GPHSA that we feel like that may be interesting. And I've had a few people ask, hey, can you tell me more? Or I'll send them the PowerPoint that I have and different things that cost, at least they was interested. I know that you can't really say, oh, all new hires, let's put this brochure in there. But I think that really, if they become involved from the minute that they start, opposed to later on, they're more likely to stay involved. And then another thing that I was going to say is, if we ever do have a conference, possibly instead of maybe, I don't know if this is even a good suggestion or not, but instead of having us pay for speakers to come, possibly having people that's internally more so to discuss topics of things that not necessarily just about leadership development, but about like what OFI is about, what service is about, and have development or leadership development or just staff development more surrounding internal things and procedures in the office, and then not have to necessarily pay for those speakers. And so to come, because I know that those probably can get expensive. And then also, last but not least, I don't want to speak on this too much because I do not have all the details just yet, and I do not know how this works, but my sister, she works for Merck and Associates, and she's a partner, and they do a lot. They are the owner and founder of the Merrick or whatever was in foster care. So he does a lot of behind the scenes support. Well, they have a certain amount of funds, and it's a large amount that they are wanting to give to staff development within the agency. And of course, I do not know how that works. I told her that was above my head, but I do know that she has been in contact, and I've talked to her about GPHSA, and I guess that's a conversation that I need to have, I guess, off, give you all more information, or y'all link you all up with her and their agency, because it would be a donation that they are wanting to make.
That's
So
awesome.
just
Yeah.
the FYI, and it's a significant one. I do know that they do a lot, and they haven't behind there with gosh, I can't remember. It's something Bridge.
Faith Bridge?
Yes, that is, they sponsor that, and they are the name behind that. So it's Locum Tenens is the name, but it's a branch of Merck and Associates Pharmaceutical Sales. So if you've heard of it, then you're probably aware.
What of Tens?
Locum, LOCUM, Tenens. .com is, that's all I ever see on everything that I see with her. But I know that they are the face and the support behind that nonprofit, the agency or whatever of Faith Bridge or whatever it is. I know they do a whole lot for them, and they're wanting to do more for the employees amongst the agency with development.
Okay.
So I guess my question is on that, what do I do to link you together? Do I just share information? And
if you could do an email introduction or tell me someone to reach out to, I'm working with something similar with the Whitehead Foundation. That is, it's kind of, we're making progress, but it's slow to get in to formation, because there's this dance between DHS and GPHSA regarding professional development, and but it sounds like what they want to do falls in line with what I'm working on. I'm hoping we'll have a pilot group, and it basically is what you were suggesting. It's there's a communication piece of it that is about speaking and when to use what communication and the communication do's and don'ts. There's a the state of DHS. This is really what's going on with child welfare. This is really what's going on with OFI. And I don't mean like really down in dirty details. What I mean is this is kind of how this works. These are the seasons that occur. This is what we've done in the past. This is where we are now. Kind of real talk, almost grassroots level, but growing your own leaders and having, like you said, not paying for speakers. In the on the road events, we'll arrange whatever speaker the county wants. And sometimes there's a charge for that. And if the county's willing to pay for that, then we of course would arrange that. But this other initiative, just connect them, and I'm happy to talk with them. I meet regularly with the other foundation, and we've been doing that for about 6 months, trying to kind of get honed in on exactly what they are looking for to support in workforce and retention, what the DHS already offers, and where we could fill a gap. So that sounds similar.
okay, I will do that for sure.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you, Ashley. That's great. And what she was talking about with the brochure, like I know I used to do new hire for Region 1, and I made sure every new hire heard about it. But, things changed. But if you're in the county, in your county, you have influence over at least that county. So whatever way that, when you get a new hire, that you can get the information to them, would just be great. Because if we all just do our own counties, we're not going to cover every county, but we're going to get a lot of counties. Jennifer, if you'll type that name in the chat, Jennifer was wanting to know, and that way if we just type it out, we'll all know how it's spelled and stuff. So,
And
thank
when
you,
you
though.
when you look them up, it looks like they are a staff recruiting agency. So there must be sort of a separate philanthropic side to the agency.
Right. Yeah, they do physician recruiting, and like I said, they're kind of like Johnson and Johnson. There's several affiliates up under it, and so they fall up under Merck, and so they do the physician recruiting or whatever. But when she told me, she was like, "Hey, we have this amount that we are wanting to donate. What do you recommend?" And I said, "Well, it would probably be a conflict, but I will give you our resource list." And I said, "But by the way, here is also something you could do to support the employees internally." And so this past week she was in Washington, and so she came back to this morning and confirmed receipt. She's like, "Hey, I got your email. I'll be taking it to our board today." And she said, "Can you give me a further contact of who it is exactly that I would need to speak to get it rolling?" As she said that they're wanting to do more development with the staff and show support without it being so political, was her input, basically. And
Perfect way. Yeah, Susan's your contact person, definitely.
I will tell you that one of the roadblocks, it's not a roadblock, but one of the where we've got a little bit of a rub is that with Whitehead, they want to do something for the whole workforce, not just members. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, we're a membership organization, and that's one of the things we are trying to work through. Is if we offered it, we would, and they may be the same way. Actually, they want to do something for all 8,000 or 9,000 members, staff, rather than just people who've paid to be a member. And so what we're kind of talking about is maybe members could have access first to whatever the professional development is. We have not really worked that part out, because they want a broader touch than our just members. They love working with somebody that's a nonprofit, that's connected to the agency, that really solves a lot of issues. But the part about opening it up to everybody, which we could use as a way to promote GPHSA. There are ways we can do it. I'm not saying it's a dead end. We're getting closer and closer and closer to figuring this thing out. But your sister may say something along the lines, well, how could we get to all members? And that's just what I would say, is that we're trying to figure out what that would look like.
All right. Well, thank you, Ashley, so much. And thank you, Tanisha. So now we'll move on to the legislative report. I don't think Gretchen's here, but I know Vicky is. So.
Hello, everybody. It's been a minute. So we had put our legislative committee meetings on hold from around May through July, just because there wasn't a lot going on and the General Assembly was not meeting. The session was over. So we kind of used that time. We gave it back to everyone because everybody's lives are so busy. So we just started back this August, and we're planning to start the Advocacy Academy back this fall. That'll lead up to a day at the Capitol. And so that'll be exciting. So if you haven't went through the Academy, we highly recommend you do that. And we also talked a little bit about setting our priorities. We know that this next coming legislative session is going to be a 2-year legislative calendar. So whatever bills are started this next session in January of 24 could carry through 2 years. So got a lot of work to do.
Let me interrupt, Vicky. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I actually think this year will round out the 2 years. Right.
Oh,
What was introduced?
I was thinking that whatever died this past, it is dead and they'll have to go back and revamp.
I'm gonna check on that. I think we have another year with what is out there, but I
Okay.
could be wrong. I could be wrong.
I could be wrong too. But I was thinking it was wrapping up. But anyway, all right, we'll verify that and make sure. But we were talking about our priorities and what our legislative committee should be focusing on, trying to get our legislators' attention and where the most need was. So we're looking at continuing to support the mental health services for children of all ages. And of course, strongly supporting our staff, whatever that looks like, pay, incentives, retention, things of that nature. So those are the two top priorities. Unless we change, that's kind of what we're leaning towards. So we've started that meeting, and our next meeting will be September the 5th at 3 p.m. on Zoom. So session won't start until January for the new session. So there's nothing going on at the moment, but we're just trying to get back connected, make sure we stay connected through the process, and start gearing up for the Advocacy Academy as well as the legislative new session. So any questions? All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
that sounds great, Vicky. And your committee is always doing amazing things, and I know y'all get geared back up. No problem. Next is finance. I don't know if Darby has anything she wants to add. You don't have to if you don't, Darby. Oh, that's right. Darby's gone, isn't she? I guess like I say, she got kicked off. So anyway, she's already gave the financial report, so there's probably nothing extra there. The next is our education, and like I said, that Red Cross training was just awesome. I went to it. Jeannie, what do you got to report for us?
I haven't had a meeting recently. I've just been waiting to see what Susan and Rhonda need. We provided the list of different training options that people have suggested. So I'm just on hold right now.
Okay, thank you for that list. And again,
And
that one training was great.
The Red Cross Ready really
What was the training?
kind
I
of,
thought, what was the training? How did I miss it?
Oh, it was
It was-
great.
When was it?
it was last Wednesday.
Yeah.
And they are willing to do another one. We originally had them scheduled in July, but we didn't get very many. I guess it was just vacation month or whatnot. So we rescheduled for August, and we had a lot more people sign up. And they're willing to do another one anytime. That was one of the recommendations, although it was more of a CPR, but of course you can't do that virtually. But that was where we got the idea, was from the list that Jeannie had given us. And they are more than happy to do that for a county, to do it virtually, to do it in person. It's free. It's 30 minutes, which is easier for some people to do, during lunch. And so if you feel like, there might be interest, we can coordinate another one.
It was really neat because I wasn't going to do it because I didn't need the CPR. I didn't realize and it's just talking about being prepared for disaster. And I mean, just some things I would have never thought about. It was really good.
Very active hurricane season. And so it was really good timing. If you think there'd be some interest in doing another one of those in a month or two, email me and let me know, and I can see about setting up another one. It takes about a month to really promote it and get the interest. And so yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jeannie. Thank you for all you do. And our next one is our social services. I know Natasha's on and look like she has a new co-chairman. So Natasha.
Hello, everyone. my background shows we can't be in Savannah, but takes me
There
a
you go. Good, good. There you go.
When I saw it, I was like, oh, this is the perfect background.
Yeah.
I hate that I don't have as much robust conversation around social services as everyone else has. However, I'm still excited about social services and the work that we're doing. We haven't had an opportunity to meet since mid-year or up in the year, mid-year, or whatever things have been on hold for us as well. Mostly because with CPS, they have just been inundated with, trying to get staff in and working through MCASE and making sure that retention is, within the offices. So once we get a good group, then, we kind of turn over. And so we've been, looking at ways around how to best support the field and that. So that's what we are, trying to encourage. Me and Robert, Bob, we are trying to look at doing, encouraging our leadership and getting more of the members involved so that we can talk about the things that they are needing so that we can better, support them. So I will let you all know once Bob and I are able to set up some additional meetings and get to moving. And it has been kind of hard to getting with people because they also want to go and not be, virtual because, they're seem like they are stuck all the time. But I have had some individuals contact me and like, who do we contact? Who do we get in touch with to get involved and get started with being a member? And so I've been giving them to the email that the information that I have. So I'll continue to do so.
Thank you, Natasha, and we look forward to what your committee was going to do. And hopefully you can keep this co-chair. I know you've been to a few of them, so.
Yes.
All right. The next, I don't know if Jaleesa or Erica is on here, but it's OFI.
Yep,
No.
I'm on. Hey, y'all.
Yeah, yay. Okay.
It's good to see everybody in our little virtual session. Hate that we couldn't make it to Savannah, but still definitely glad to be able to see everybody. So I'm going to provide the report out for the OFI committee. We have been making some strides to just continue to meet. What we don't want to do is get to a point where we're not meeting at all. So we have revamped our schedule a little bit. So the committee meets bi-monthly. We meet every other month on the third Wednesday of each month. We usually meet at 12 noon around lunchtime when people are kind of catching a breather. You can have munch on your lunch at your desk while we have a nice little impromptu meeting. We will actually be having meeting prep on this coming Friday since we were not able to go to Savannah. We'll be having meeting prep outside of DFACS after hours. So that should be good fun for myself, Erica, and Kimoshia. Kimoshia is also transitioning to the education and training team. Her last official day with OFI is August 31st. So we're planning on celebrating her. Right now, the OFI committee has about 50 members, with about 80% of that actually being active participants, actively showing up to meetings, engaging in the Teams channel, or engaging in chat, email. So we've got some good active participation. During our meetings, we're just talking about our continuous efforts to recruit staff for OFI, and then continuous recruitment efforts for the OFI committee within GPHSA. I definitely love the idea about providing the brochure to new hires, because most of the districts have gone back to like desk guides and new hire packets for staff who are joining the agency. And I think it will be an excellent idea to include the GPHSA pamphlet in that welcome package just for awareness, because what we're seeing now within the OFI committee is just trying to bridge that gap so that this is not automatically assumed to be a child welfare organization, but rather a human services professional organization. So we talk about all of those efforts and just making sure we're bridging the gap and all of our efforts in hiring and maintaining, recruiting staff, retaining staff. Our meeting that's coming up on the third Wednesday of September, we will actually be featuring a burn session in which we allow people to kind of just let it burn. Everybody will have 2 minutes to really just kind of get it out, of course, with the code of ethics in mind. But we will be taking an opportunity to just let everybody have a 1 to 2 minute burn session to just get it off your chest, kind of blow off some steam on that call. We do a lot of different innovative things because, like everybody has stated, it is very hard to keep the interest peaked in a virtual setting. It's hard, even everybody can see that it's hard to train your staff in a virtual setting. So it's definitely hard to keep people interested in something that is considered extracurricular. So we're just looking at lots of different ways to be innovative, stay innovative, and keep that morale going within the committee and the interest in the organization as well.
Thank you, Jaleesa. That's exciting. I know OFI has really grown recently with GPHSA, and we're excited to see what's going to happen next. So thank you. All right, Susan, you are giving our diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Well, I didn't know if Jan was going to be on, but she had, and I'll let her share in her own words, but she is needing to step away from chairing this committee. It has not been active for the last few months, and I just didn't know if we wanted to have some conversation around what we wanted to do, how we wanted to move forward, that sort of thing.
Hey, everyone. Thank y'all I just want to thank y'all for what y'all have done, the ones that have been active in the DEI committee. I am having to step away. I have a lot of personal going on. My niece give me her 1-year-old, so I have a 1-year-old.
Wow.
And my niece's adoptive mom, which is my sister-in-law, passed away, and my niece has got a hold with her birth mom, and it's not good. And I'm just struggling. I'm struggling personally with some mental issues going on also, and I don't feel like I am able to give what is needed for the DEI. I think that it needs to be active. I think it needs to be brought to the forefront of not just GPHSA, but the state. Because like I said, it is important. And I just thank y'all for letting me be there for the last year. And it was going really good till I lost the the first co-chair. And then I thought I had a second one, and she would never come on. Then I thought I had a third one. She never come on, and I was struggling. So I may say I'll come back and would want to be co-chair, but right now I can't do it. And I'm sorry.
Well, Jan, we thank you for your honesty and just want you to know you're in our prayers. We appreciate, we know you've had a hard year in other ways too. But we do appreciate what you've done with this committee. You really did some great things. So we just want you to know we thank you for that.
Thank you. And I will say earlier this year in March, my mom passed away. I was very, very close to her. And since Friday, I've done nothing but cry. I want to talk to my mom so bad. I can't stand it. And it's just been hard, really hard. I've missed more work in the last 3 months than I ever have. And it's been mental. So I thank y'all.
We love you.
Thank you, Susan.
Dan, you made me get choked up.
No, Susan, not Susan, Jan. Life happens while we're in this organization, while we're at this job. The most important person is you. Take care of you, whatever you need to do. We'll handle the rest. So I commend you for being as honest as you have been. So, you know,
Thank
we're
you,
here.
Tanisha.
Reach out to me anytime.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But I think that we should continue it. I don't know who we're willing to, you know, head it, but I think it's an important committee.
If there is anyone who might be interested in chairing that committee, or if you can think of someone who might be a good chair, Jan, we will welcome you back whenever you feel ready. But just like Tanisha said, you know, you take care of you. And I only have my 18-month-old for 2 days a week in the afternoon. So I really, goodness, that's a lot. It's a lot. And take whatever time you need. And if we can find a chair, we are going to move forward. If not, we're going to take a pause and regroup and see how we can continue to make diversity and inclusion an integral part of our priorities if it's not a committee meeting.
Well, we've had some great trainings, so I'm sure we can continue with that. Nothing else.
Yes. And thank you, Jan, for all you've done. And you can't continue to just be production oriented. You know, you have to have that time, or for me, my experience, have to have that time to regroup and make sure I'm okay before I can, you know, take care of other people. So
I love that example. You can't pour from an empty cup.
no.
You can't. You can't do it.
You know, if you get to the point of giving from your marrow and then you've given all you have, there's nothing. So you have to heal and take care of yourself. And I'm glad you're taking the time to do that. That's a great example. Look at Simone. She took 2 years, came back. She's the oldest gymnast to ever win a record. And she was just very honest. I got to take some time.
Yeah.
Good example.
Yes.
I'll go directly into my report, although as always, we've covered the majority of it. I don't have an update on 2024 annual conference. I don't know why, but I feel like we may have some success in doing something smaller and a couple of mini conferences, and maybe show their value. I think we should start there. We've talked so much about the On the Road to Growth, and I'm hoping that Angie and I can get a date, and then we can get a date in Bartow and maybe one in Region 5, and maybe try to get that done before the legislative session kicks off. By the way, Vicki, I reached out to Carol Parrish, and this will be the second year. So anything introduced last year has a chance during this session to live on. Seems like the first year of that 2-year cycle is just so active. And then the second year, you know, it has a chance to have some life brought back to it. Then we start again. So just wanted to clarify that little point. And I may have told you wrong during our meeting. That you could have gotten that from me. Then I've already said that the fall meeting, this is going to count as our annual business meeting. However, we are going to seek a time in later fall to try to get the board together in person somewhere. I think that's our first step. And then maybe plan for, if I got the feedback right during this meeting, something a little bit bigger, maybe not 300 people, but something a little bit bigger for the spring. It's hard to do a meeting during the session, during January through April, just because the legislative session is so active. Trying to think of anything else that I might have mentioned. Oh, the awards that we typically give out during the annual conference, the President's Award still would be something that we would want to do. We will mail that to the person. So Susan, you can be thinking about that and we can talk about that. And then I need to reach out to the Nebels to see if they are interested again in giving the funding for the award that is given for that. And so I'll give you an update, hopefully when we meet in person in maybe we either need to do early November or very early December before it gets too crazy. The end of November is, you've got Veterans Day and then you have Thanksgiving, and it just, if we don't get it the 1st of November or maybe the very, very 1st of December, then it's not probably just not going to be a good idea to try to get together if we can't get something together by that time, just because of the holidays. But I definitely want to proceed with the President's Award, and then I'll need to get confirmation from the Nebels that they would like to contribute toward the award that we give each year for that.
What about Board of the Year?
Gail and I have plans to talk after this meeting. She wanted to talk after we met. I think she's also been kind of holding out to see if something would break loose. I would imagine they still want to do that, but she has not said that. She said she wanted to talk after we had this meeting today.
Because Douglas is definitely going to be in the running. Their board.
Yes.
So.
I made a note to ask about that. So that is all I have.
Was speak out. This is where anybody can talk about anything they want to. Does anybody have anything left that they haven't said? So we're running closer to 5. I think we talked about a lot of important things today. So
when will the pictures come out from the Douglas event?
I have a link to them right now that I'm happy to share with y'all. I wanted to put them on our social media so you could, there's a lot of them. So I don't know if I have to ask Dee Dee if she cares if I post all of them or, just maybe 10 or so on social media. I don't know. But I'll send you the link in just 2 seconds.
Okay.
All right.
And also let me say this. I appreciate all of you that gave a committee report and have continued to just try to keep your committees alive and moving forward. You serve a very important role, especially your child welfare OFI, and legislative too, although we did not have very much to report legislatively this time. Just such an important place for staff to go and to connect and to learn what's going on in other places so that they don't feel, oh, is it just me that's experiencing this? And I love that, forget what you called it, the social service ones, Natasha, but the kind of just rant session or whatever, I can't remember what you called it.
That was OFI.
Oh, OFI, that's right. It was Jaleesa. Sorry. I love that idea.
Yeah.
I just think that's great. A safe
Maybe
space to just
have one too.
vent. Yeah.
That'd be an idea, Natasha.
Don't record it.
Yeah, don't record it. No.
Burn session. There we go.
Burn
Yes.
set, yeah,
I
love that.
like that name.
Yeah. A good idea. We all need to vent sometimes. And usually we're in the office and we vent to each other, but since we're not, that's another good way to do it. So that's a great idea. All right. Well, I think it's been a great meeting. We've got so many things done. And, you know, I was looking at the bottom of this, it always says together a difference. And that's so true. I mean, all of us working together, you know, Susan couldn't do this by herself. I couldn't do it by myself. I mean, it takes everybody and, you know, just all the inventive things that we're doing because we can't be together, but we're trying to work on ways to get together. And I thought, just, you know, don't give up in your regions, counties, you know, give out those brochures and just attend the trainings we do have and, you know, the meetings. And that's just so important because I remember a time that we went through all this. I've said that 100 times, but I did. And it was a hard time. It was a real hard time. And we didn't have virtual. You know, we met, our annual conference was in Atlanta. And there wasn't a lot of us there, but there was some of us there. And I always said, if we all quit going to whatever, if it's not Savannah, it'll stop. So you got to stay and keep it going. And that's what y'all are doing with the committee meetings and everything. And I just appreciate it. And I have a quote, you always have a quote, but this one, I was looking up a quote today and this one just kept coming back and kept coming back. And it said, I can see further when I stand on the shoulders of giants. And I forgot to write down who the person was. But when I think of GPHSA giants, I think of people, and y'all know some of these people and some of you may not. But I think of Wayne Drummond. I think of Jeff and Mary Beth Lukich. I think of George and Susan Armstrong. I think of James Binnicker, and I know y'all know James. He did a lot during his time as president. I think of all these people who have come before us in GPHs. Well, I don't know why, but I'm getting emotional. I didn't know that's going to happen. But anyway, I just think of these people that have built this and, you know, we're coming behind them and, you know, and someday hopefully people will look back on us and we'll be the giants. But I just think that, you know, that's so true. It is so true. It's a legacy and hopefully we'll leave a legacy for people, the young people coming in. And I've been in this organization for a very long time and it's always been important and it's always made a difference in my work life and in my personal life. Just like Jan speaking today, we're a family. I mean, I feel like GPHSA people are my family. I have people that I've known that came to my wedding because I've met them through GPHSA and we're a family and we're there for each other. And we hope you all feel that way. You know, if you need one of us, reach out, please. But anyway, I'm going to let you go because I know it is very late, but I just thank you all for being here and attending today. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you all in person. So everybody have a great evening and we'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.